Hello. This is a recording especially for our HR team and finance team, but it's also relevant for many of the other people that I'm CCing in this email. The topic is about options for data linkage using Google Sheets. I'm going to save the recording both on YouTube as well as on Google Drive, and I will be giving some CPD points for this. So as usual, if it's half an hour, I'll give one CPD point. If it's 1 hour, I'll give two CPD points. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Let's see, share screen 3. Okay, great. So here we go. Now, context. Our HR and finance work now involves a lot of linking data across different spreadsheets. For example, the staff details, we've got the professional evaluation data, especially the payroll data that needs to connect our finance information, our staff detail information, lots of other things come together. So there's a lot of data linkage that needs to be done, and there are different methods that are used for this. I usually only use a few methods. I use about 4 or 5 methods that I'm comfortable with. It is important for you to understand how these methods work, partly because if you know how the methods work to link these data, then you'll be using the spreadsheets correctly. You'll be putting the correct data in the correct places. But also, if something goes wrong and if the data is not syncing up, if there's some mistake somewhere, you will know where the mistake came from and you'll be able to fix things as needed. Also, in the future, if you're going to make your own connected data, you'll be able to do so using these methods. Now, note that the methods that I'm going to show you, these are very, very widely usable. So even though I'm going to show you specific examples, there are many, many other things that you can use them for. Okay, so why do we link data? We link for several reasons. One is to ensure that the data is accurate. So for example, bank details. The bank account details, it's a very long number, right? TL, blah, 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 blah. And if we write it in one place and later we need to enter the bank details in another place so that the bank transfer goes to the correct person, because the number is so long, sometimes people make mistakes if you're just typing it in manually each time. And so when we link the data, once you write it in correctly one time, all the other times you need to use the bank details, it will be the correct number. So that is the way to make sure that the data is correct, to make sure that the data is accurate. Another reason is for making sure that updating the data is easier, meaning that people change their phone numbers, for example, quite often. And we've got a few different spreadsheets where people's phone numbers are saved. So you may have the staff original data, Orange HRM, the staff directory. Now, if the data is all linked, then if somebody tells you that their phone number is different, then you just change the phone number in one place, and then all the other sheets will have the updated phone numbers. But if you don't link the data and somebody tells you, oh, their phone number has changed, that means you need to change in one sheet, change in another sheet, change in another sheet. And let's say that you forget to change the number in one sheet, and later you see that the phone number is different in 2 different sheets. You will not know which is the correct number. Is it the old one or is it the new one? And so to make updating data easier, it is best if the data is linked. Another reason is to allow automation, or for example, when we're generating reports, if our data is linked, then when it's time for us to generate an M&E report or a finance report, we just need to do a certain simple step, and then the data will automatically come together, be added, and you'll create the report. And this can save you a lot of time. So for example, when we do our monthly payroll system, it is using that kind of linkage to create the payroll verification sheet, which is actually a kind of report. And that is an automated way that we're doing. Another important reason for data linkage, the way I'm going to show you, is that it's going to allow data segregation. What does data segregation mean? It means that when you've got one big spreadsheet with lots of data, some data that is confidential or sensitive, and some data that is not so confidential or sensitive, you want to have a way to share only the non-confidential information without sharing the confidential information. And so you can do that through this methods that I'm going to show you, and that is called data segregation, making sure that not all the data you're sharing to one person, but you're only sharing the non-confidential data. And this has got other applications as well. So for example, when we're dealing with patient information, let's say our HIV patients and all of this. So now I'm going to demonstrate a few different methods, and I'm going to go from quite simple methods to more complex methods. And so if you look at my screen now, you can see that I'm going to use this simple method, the equal method, the filter method, the query method, blah, 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 all of these down over here. And so I don't know, I think this will take maybe about an hour for me to demonstrate all of them. Okay, so let's go through these one by one. So I'm going to move this to the side. Give me a minute. I'm going to open a few, let's see. Can I just open this new window? Let's see, where's this new window? Let's move it over here. Okay, I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger. Make this a little bit smaller. Okay, so let's start with the first thing I'm going to demonstrate, which is the usage of the equals sign for data linkage. But for this, first, let's go to sheets.google.com. I'm going to create a new blank spreadsheet. So I'm going to call this, just going to use this name. Okay. So now in order to make the demonstration, I want to get some random names to put in here. So I'm going to just go to this website that gives me some random names. If you're going to have a baby and you want to find a name, you can look at this and find some names that you like. In any case, I'm going to highlight a few names. These are not real names, huh? These are just random names, and I'm going to paste it over here. Okay, so I've got a data set now of, okay, all these names. And what I'm going to do also is I'm going to split these names. Let's go to data, split, use space. Okay, there you go. Okay, now I'm going to call this the first name and the last name. I'm going to freeze this. Okay, good. So now you've got a little data set where I've just got the random names I've split into columns. And let's call this staff details. And this is the names I'm going to give to these columns: first name, last name, and whoops. And I'm going to call a column over here called full name. Okay, and to make the full name over here, I'm just going to add this and this. So I'm going to say equals to this and this. But there's going to be a small problem when I press enter. You can see it puts the names together, but there's no space between them. So I'm going to add a space here. Great. So now this should be fine. Okay. So this is the full name, and I'm just going to hold this and drag it down. So the same formula, it gets copied down. Okay, good. So now we've got a list of first name, last name, and full name that's over here. Okay. Now I am going to give them all, let's say, a team. Let's say the primary department. Okay. And I'm going to say these people come from different teams. And later, so let's say one team we're going to have is, let's say, the cancer team. Other one is going to be the mental health team. And then what other team can we have? These are just examples. Just pretend that Maluk Timur now has a cancer program and a mental health program. And let's say, let's call it palliative care team. Okay, these are just examples. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to create another spreadsheet. I'm going to call this, rename teams validation list. Just going to put, let's just say we've got 3 teams. Okay, so primary department. For this example, I think 3 teams is enough. I don't need more than that. Primary department. primary department. Okay, I'm going to put this to the left. And then just to make sure that in this column, I'm only selecting from these options and not selecting other options. I'm just going to highlight this whole column. I'm going to say, let's say data validation. I'm going to add a rule. I'm only going to apply this to row 2 onward. It'll be a drop-down list from a range. And it's going to drop down list from this range. So from A2, great, that should be done. So now for the primary department, I can only choose one of these, right? Okay, actually, I'm just going to change the name of this tab, rename to, let's say, validation lists. Okay, great. Okay, great. So now I can choose this person can be the cancer team. Let's say cancer team. Let's just pretend that there are many people in the cancer team. And then a few people in the palliative care team. And then there's a person in the palliative care team, let's say the mental health team, the cancer team, another cancer team, another palliative. This is all random. Okay, good. So now I've got a data set of these different people, right? Now I'm going to create another tab that is going to, I'm going to call this rename to cancer team. Okay. Now within the cancer team, this tab, I want to put down just the staff details of the people who are part of the cancer team. So how do I do that? One way is by using the equal sign like this, and then to give the reference of the cell that I wanted to have the same value. So for example, I just put equal, I go to staff details, cancer team, okay, Braley Camacho is in the cancer team. So I'm just going to click this. I'm going to press enter. And now you can see over here, it's got that same name. Or if I put over here, equals, go back to the staff details, then I'm going to choose Tatun Burger, put over here. And then if I want to, I can just drag this down. And it's going to be copying all of the people from this list, right? Those that are in the cancer team and the other teams, etc., they're all over here. Or if what I'm going to do is, I'm going to delete most of this, just leave the first one. And I'm just going to have over here, this is the reference to this name over here, right? Because what I've done is I put down equals, and then it says here staff details, exclamation mark. That means it is referring to the tab called staff details. And then it's got C2, meaning that it is referring to C2, which is this person, Braley Camacho. Now, if I copy from here to the next cell, you can see that the formula is exactly the same, except for one thing has changed. Here it was C2, now it is C3. So the computer automatically knows when you're copying down by one that you also want to copy down the source reference cell to decrease, sorry, not to decrease, but to go down one cell. So that means that the row number will increase from 2 to 3, like this, right? And so if I copy this and paste down over here, what will be the row number there? It will be C4, right? So you can see again here, it is showing C4. And if I go back to staff details, C4 is Leila Khan. And if I go back to the cancer team here, I can see Leila Khan is over here. And so this is an easy way for you to just get the same data elsewhere. And if I click and drag this down over here, it is going to copy that same formula down. So it's going to copy and preserve the relative referencing, meaning it's going to automatically update which is the number of the cell that you want, right? Now, let's say that I don't want it to copy down like this while changing the cell number. I want it to always keep the same cell number as the original. Okay, I'm going to delete this first by Control Shift down arrow to just highlight all of this, press delete to remove all of that. And now I want to make sure that when I copy down, it's going to continue referring to Braley Camacho from that earlier cell. What I can do is I can just go over here and I put a $sign and a $sign, which means that it locks the cell. And now when I copy this, you can see that it's still preserving the same cell address that I had started from in the beginning. It does not automatically change the cell address as I copy it down. So that's a relative and absolute referencing. Absolute referencing means that you're using the $sign to lock the cell that you are drawing the data from. Okay, so this is really, really simple. You should already know this if you've gone through any of our Excel, if you've gone through our Excel tutorials, etc. So this one is easy. So let's just delete this and let's get rid of this. Now let's use a slightly more advanced one, which is using the filter. Okay, what does the filter do? A filter is a way of asking the computer to pull all of the data from a particular data set that fits a certain criteria. So for example, now I want the staff details over here, but I don't want the staff details of everybody. I only want the staff details of the people that are in the cancer team. Okay, so let's do that right now. I'm going to say over here, demo, filter by primary department. So I'm going to put down over here equal to filter. And now the range that I want to filter, let's say that I only want to see people's full name. So I'm going to just click this to highlight this is the range that I want to filter. Now I'm going to give it the condition. Under what conditions do I want to see these names? So I'm going to click this column to highlight all of this. And I want this to equal to cancer team. And that's it. So now you can see that here I've got a list of names that came from the staff details over here, a list of full names that came from the this tab over here, but it doesn't include everybody. It only includes everybody that are within the cancer team. Okay, how do I know that this is the case? Let me give you an example. Let's delete everybody in the cancer team here. So now you can see there's only one person in the cancer team, Braley Camacho. So if you now look at the cancer team, you can see that only Braley Camacho is over here. But let's say now I'm going to add 2 more people to the cancer team. Cancer team, cancer team. So now that Kendrick and Aliyah are already also in the cancer team, when I go back to cancer team, I should have 3 people on that list. So you can see that Braley, Kendrick, Aliyah are on that. So this is one way to very quickly select the people that you want. Now I'm going to do this in a little bit more advanced way. Okay, I'm going to delete all of that and let's go back to staff details. I'm just going to copy all of this. I'm going to put that back over here. Okay. And I'm going to put down over here equals to filter, which is the range that I want filtered. I want the staff details. First name, right? I just want this. And I want to filter by the primary department equals to cancer team. Now I can see the first names of all of these people, right? That who are only the first names of the people that were in the primary department cancer team. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this formula over to the next couple of cells. And you'll see there's a problem that happens. What happened? Why is my formula not working? It's because as I copy the formula, the computer, as usual, it is smart. It tries to change the cell references. So over here, I asked it to filter column A, but when I copied it to column B over here, it is now trying to filter from column B of staff details, which is fine, but it's also looking for the condition staff details. It's looking in column E for cancer team, whereas in staff details, you can see that there's nothing in column E. So what do I need to do? I need to lock my my formula so that when it copies over, it retains the absolute referencing for the condition for the filter. So how do I do that? So for first name, this is fine. I'm just going to lock this. Now when I copy the formula, it should work right. Okay, great. See, now you can see in this data set, you can see all the first name, last name, full name, primary department, not of everybody, but only the people who are within our cancer team. Okay, now let's do so in a slightly different way let's add some information here. I'm going to insert a new column. I'm going to insert a new, I refreshed accidentally. Okay, actually, let me undo what I did so that I can demonstrate what I'm going to do again. Okay, allow it to load, finish loading. Okay, let me just delete this column. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert, whoops, unfroze. I'm going to insert a column to the right. I'm going to insert another column to the right. I'm going to insert a column called age, and I'm going to insert a column called sex. Okay, and age, let's just give it some random numbers. So like 23, 34. I'm just making these numbers up. Okay, not 677. Okay, too big. Okay, and I'm gonna, yeah, and I say actually as a good example, I'm going to give some very small numbers. So you can see all of these people here are very young, 12 years old, 10 years old, 11 years old, 12 years old. Okay, good. So I've got some ages over here, and for sex, let's just decide male or female. Male, female, male, female. Now, because for sex, I can only choose male or female, I want to restrict what values I can put in here. So one way I can do that is like I did for this column, by in the validation list, I can say sex, I can put male or female, and then I can do data validation on this column so that you can only choose from male or female or male, female, transgender or something like that. But another way that we can do it is like this. I'm going to go back to my staff details, and rather than make it a drop down from a range, I'm going to do a data validation a different way, but it'll still allow me to restrict the values I can add in here. So I'm going to highlight this. I'm going to data validation. I'm going to add a rule, and this is going to be a drop down. And I'm not going to choose drop down from a range. I'm just going to choose drop down, and I'm going to say male, and I'm going to say female. And just to be stereotypical, I'm going to call male blue and female pink. And I'm going to click done. Right. And so now you can see that, okay, if I close this window, now there's also some drop downs over here. And this drop down over here, it's got this red little triangle. This red triangle tells me that this is invalid. Why is it invalid? Because I'm supposed to choose male or female, not M or F. So let's just choose M, F, female, male, male, male. And just to make this a little bit faster, I'm just going to copy these. I'm just going to make all of these guys male. And I'm just going to copy these. I'm going to make all, okay, let's say I'm going to make all of these female. Okay. And then, oh, I've accidentally made the data validation go all the way up to the header row, which is not so good. So I'm going to go back to the data validation. I'm going to see that this data validation rule only covers F2 to F1000, which is this one. But for this data validation rule, it is trying to give the data validation to E1 to E1000. So that's not so good. So let me change this to E2. Good. Okay, now that should leave my data validation rule unapplied, not applied to column E. Okay, very good. So here you've got a data set again. So now let's go back to cancer team. And now we're going to do a filter in a slightly different way. I'm going to use the filter formula again. Okay. let's just delete all of this stuff. Let's delete all these rows, these columns, sorry. Let's delete all of these columns. Now let's do a slightly different thing. I'm going to ask it to filter. I want to only see the full names of people whose age is more than 30. Okay, so let's go back to Cancer team. I'm going to say equals to filter. And I'm going to go back and highlight this entire data set. I'm going to just use my keyboard because it's a little bit easier. So this is the data set that I'm filtering. And what is the condition that I want to have? The condition is that I want their age to be more than something, right? More the same age is more than 40. So I'm going to close this little window because it's hiding the information that I want. So I'm going to choose this one. And I want the age to be more than 40. Now, when I press enter, I've completed doing this formula, but I think it's going to give me an error. Let's see if that happens. It's giving me a little error. Why is it giving me this error? It's giving me this error because the filter has a mismatched range. It expected 21, but actually got 1000. What's going on here? This means that there's a difference between the range that I've asked it to filter and the condition that I've given. Because in the range of data that I asked it to filter, I only gave it A1 to F21, but then which is 21 columns, or 21 rows, right? But then in the criteria that I gave it D to D, which references the entire column, and so that's 1000 rows. So just to make this consistent, I'm just going to make this D1 to D21, right? And now if I press enter, it should give me the correct data. There you go. So it's giving me all of the information that I want. And it's not giving me everybody. It's only giving me the people whose age is more than 45, more than 40. Okay. Now let's try updating this a little bit. So I wanted to give me people who are more than 45 and whose sex is female. So if I give it 2 criteria, now it should only give me 2 rows of data, right? So let's give it another criteria. And what is the other criteria that I want? I want the sex to be equals to female, right? And again, there should be a mismatch in the number of rows now, so it's going to give me an error. Give me an error as expected. So let's fix that error. I can make this E1 to E21, which should give me the correct values, or let's do it in a slightly different way. Let's just ask it to filter the entire column. So filter column A to F using column D, more than 40, and staff details column E, female. This should also give me. Great. So now you've got the data that I wanted, although it's not giving me the headers. It's only giving me the data rows. So I'm just going to move this down over here. So there you go. So now what you've got is it is giving me just the data of people who are female and more than 45. Just to check if this is working correctly, I'm going to go back to staff details. I'm going to add one person who is one more person who's also female and more than 45. Let's make this person female. And now when you go back, there you've got a total of 3 data rows. And now let's do it a slightly different way. Now let's ask it to give us the female who's more than 45, who's in the Cancer team. So let's go back over here to the formula. And let's add a criteria. Let's say the primary department. This one should be equal to Cancer team. Oops, sorry, I'm not doing it right. Let me open this, see what's doing. So I'm just correcting my formula over here. Okay, there you go. So what happened here? No matches were found in the filter evaluation, meaning that at this point, there's nobody in that list of staff details who meets this criteria. That means that there's nobody who's female and more than 45 and in the Cancer team. Let's correct that a little bit. Let's try making a few more people in the Cancer team. All of these guys, Cancer team, all of these guys in the Cancer team. And let's say, okay, let's make it a little bit easier for ourselves. So all of these people are also in the Cancer team, female. And let's say these people are 70 years old, 70 years old, 70 years old. Now you can see that these 3 rows of data, they should meet our criteria. They are more than 40 years old, they're female, and they're in the Cancer team. So if I go back over here, I can see those are the same data that has showed up over here. So you can see that this is quite a powerful way to do it. So I filtered by the department, by the age, by the sex, and I've combined all of that to do this filter. And so it's quite a powerful way to sort your data, to filter exactly which data you want to see. Okay, now next I'm going to go on to this additional method, which is called the query method, which also lets you do some similar things, but it's actually much, much more powerful than the filter method. It's a little advanced, but I'm just going to demonstrate it now because I do use it in some of the spreadsheets for HR and finance. So let's delete all of this stuff first. And let's do the query. But before I do that, I'm going to do something that's going to make it a little bit easier for me, which is I'm going to name the range. What I mean by that is that every time I do a formula like this, whenever I need to go and highlight which is exactly the data that I want to use, it takes me a bit of time. So sometimes it's easier if I just select a range and I give it a name so that next time when I want to use that same range, I don't need to highlight exactly what I want. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to data. I'm going to say named ranges, and I'm going to add a range. And I'm going to just highlight all of this. Sorry, I'm going to click here first to select the range that I want. I'm going to say I want all of this data to be included. And I'm going to give it this is the name I'm going to give it. Oh, hang on. Okay, fine. I've selected the range. And let's name it. What shall we name it? We shall call it, let's say, okay, I'm going to call it staff details. Now notice that there's going to be a problem if I try and save this. It tells me that the name range is not valid. Why? It is not valid because I'm going to click on this question mark to find out the reason why, and it'll bring me to a help page. Okay, and blah, blah, blah. It's going to explain to me what the name needs to look like and all. But most importantly, basically, I cannot have a space in the middle of the name like this. So let me delete the space in the named range, and let's try clicking done again. Okay, great. So now this range of cells, staff details, is called staff details as one word with no space. Okay, so I can now use this when I'm doing some formulae. So let's go back to the Cancer team tab. And now over here, I'm going to do a query. So I'm going to start, I've put my cursor in A1, and now I'm going to do a query. So I'm going to go equals to query, and this is the start of my formula. And I'm going to click the question mark so I can see the formula help. And the first thing that I need to put down is the data. And so I'm going to use this name rather than highlighting the specific data that I want. So I'm going to say staff details, right? I'm going to say comma. And now I'm going to actually write the query itself. Now, this is, I'm not going to try and explain all the details over here. I'm just going to do it so you can see how it works. I'm going to close this. So now I've created a query. And when I've created the query that has asked the computer to bring all of the data from that staff detail spreadsheet and put all the data over here. Okay, so you can see that it's the same data. And let's say that I make a change over here. I'm going to change the ages of these first 3 people to, let's say, 33, 33, 33. Oops, sorry. Sorry, I want to demonstrate this later, but let's go back to the source of the data, staff details. And now let's change the age to 33, 33, 33. So I've changed this data, and then I come back to the Cancer team, and you can see that the data has been changed. And go back to staff details. Let's change these guys to male, to male, to male. And I can go back to the cancer team, and I can see that the data here is also changed. Now, let's say that I look at this data and I try and edit this data right now. So for example, I see this person is in the cancer team, but I want to change it to the palliative care team. I'm going to start editing and notice the problem that's going to occur. Palliative care team. Okay, this looks good. Oh no, what happened? Everything disappeared. Everything disappeared because if I go up here, it tells me the error, the array not expanded because it would overwrite the data in F2, meaning that the formula is not able to execute the query command and do the query and give all the data over here because there's data in F2. What is the data in F2? In F2, if I go to cell F2, oh, it's because I wrote palliative care team here. I cannot do that, so I must delete this. And now you can see that all the data now is pulled in the correct way. But if I wanted to change the cancer team, I need to go back to staff details, go up to this first person and change this to, let's say, palliative care team. And now when I go back to my cancer team tab, I can see that this data has also been changed, right? So that is the way in which the query works. Now, I'm going to demonstrate a few more advanced features of query as well, so that you can see why I use this. Now, let's say I don't want to see everybody. I want to see people whose age is more than something, okay? So I'm going to select something where I think it is, which column is this? Column is A, B, C, D, you know, where D is greater than, let's say, 30. Now I'm only seeing the people whose age is more than 30. Or let's say that I want to do it for people whose age is less than 30. Now I'm only seeing the people whose age is less than 30. So that is me querying by age, okay? And then, you know, earlier I already demonstrated what happens if I try and edit this data directly, right? Because now what has happened is when I tried to edit this data directly, everything is gone. So I need to just delete this data. And so the query will still work correctly, right? So whenever you're using a query on a particular spreadsheet, you'll be able to view data that you want, but you cannot edit the data within this place. You can only edit the query itself in the way that you want. Now, query is very, very powerful. It can do lots of things, but I'm not going to demonstrate that today. Okay, the next thing is, data validation. I've already demonstrated this much earlier, actually. So let me just bring this up over here. So I'm just going to say I've already earlier demonstrated data validation. All right, I've showed you filter, I've showed you query. Okay, now let's do a VLOOKUP demonstration. I'm wondering what's a good way to do this. Yes, I know. Now, let's say that we go back to our staff details and we, in this particular spreadsheet, the data about people's staff details, I don't put it over here. I'm going to create a new sheet where I'm going to say, let's rename this sheet and let's call it staff's, let's say primary department. So here I'm going to go back to staff details and I'm going to, okay, this is a good demonstration actually. Let me say equals to query. Let's say the staff details, and I'm just going to select column, let's say just column C. So now I'm seeing everybody's full name. And then over here, I'm going to say primary department. And the staff details, everything that's over here, I'm just going to cut this and I'm going to put this over here. So now what has happened is in our original tab that says people staff details, it tells me about their personal details, but it's not telling me which department they're in. If I want to see the staff's primary department, I need to go and look in this other spreadsheet, which shows me their primary department. Okay, so let's say I go back to this third tab and I'm just going to delete. Actually, I'm just going to delete this whole tab. Delete. I'm just going to Yes, delete this sheet. Let's create a new one. And here, let's say, let's call this to females. Okay. So now here I'm going to query the staff details. Select column C, where was the sex? The sex was in column A, B, C, D, where D equals to female. Oh, what's going on? Oh no, I'm making a little error. Select C where D equals to female. Maybe I'm just getting that. What's going on? It's probably just a syntax error right now, which I'll figure out another time. But because I don't want to spend time doing that right now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a filter method instead. It's equal to a filter. Let's say the staff details. And rather than use where as in the query, I'm just going to use that is column D, right? Where it was column D is where, sorry, column E, where equals to female. Okay, I hope that works. Okay, there you go. Okay, let's just move this down by one. Okay, great. So now you've got the data set that I want, but for each of these people, I want to know what exactly was their position. And their position is found, oh, sorry, what is their primary department? And their primary department is found in this other tab, right? So now I need some way in this particular data set for me to check for each one of these people, what is their primary department? How do I do that? And so if the VLOOKUP is a good way for you to do that. So I'll need to create a formula over here that says equals to VLOOKUP. Before I do that, let me just explain what I'm trying to accomplish here. So now I've got in the tab that's called females, I've got a data set that shows me the first name, the last name, the full name. Okay, actually, let me quickly copy those headers as well so that you can see what it is we're talking about. So in this tab that's called females, I can see the first name, the last name, the full name, the age, and the sex. And I want to see their primary department here as well. But my problem is the primary department information is in a different tab. And in this tab, I don't have all of that other information. I only have their full name, and then I've got their primary department. And so I need somebody to basically look at this, check, okay, what is the data that I need to put inside here? So I need somebody to look in this data set and see, okay, full name is Branson, and then go over to the staff primary department tab and see, okay, full name Branson, where is Branson? Branson is over here. And so for Branson, their primary department is palliative care team. And then I need to copy this, go back over here and put it down over here. Whoops, so it's one of the problems of doing a filter that's going to make it difficult for me to demonstrate what I want. I know what I'll do. I'm going to say insert a column to the left, insert column to the left. Okay, now let me demonstrate this again. Okay, so I've pasted palliative care over here. And then for Kinsley, what is her primary department? So I'm going to go back to primary department, find Kinsley. Where is Kinsley? Okay, Kinsley is also palliative care. And then I'm going to come back to this tab and put down here palliative. And you can see that this takes a long time. So basically what I'm doing is I'm using this column, finding this information, going back to primary department, seeing what is the primary department of that particular person, getting that information and putting that over here. And so that's what the VLOOKUP is going to do. So let's delete, let's also delete the data validation over here. Just copy and paste, there we go, easier. So I'm gonna use a VLOOKUP. I'm gonna go equals to VLOOKUP. Search key. What is the information I'm going to use in order to match this particular data set to my source data set? I'm going to use this one, right? The full name. So I'm going to click here. comma, what is the range I'm going to look up? Go to the staff primary department, and just highlight these two columns. And then the index that I'm going to use. And by index, that means how many columns after the key column am I going to find the information that I want? So in this case, if I find the key and the full name, then I need to go one column to the right for me to find the information that I want to retrieve. So I'm going to click 2. And then I'm going to put 0 or false, which means that I want the exact data. For now, don't worry about exactly what this means. Most of the time, we'll use 0. And now if I click OK over here, you can see that it's given me the correct information. And now if I just copy this down, it should be giving me all of the correct information about each of these persons. So you can see that it makes it much easier and much faster for me to find the information that I want. Now I can also change the data over here, and then the data here will change as well. So for example, let's say that I want to find the staff details, not of the females, but of the male. Now you can see that this has changed. And also the primary department, it has given me the correct primary departments for these people. So this is to make sure that this data is always kept updated. Okay, so let's go back to over here. I've given a demonstration of VLOOKUP from the, this is a VLOOKUP of what? This is a VLOOKUP of from the full name to primary department. Okay, now let's do something that's even more advanced right now. Sorry, what did I do? So sometimes if you click in the wrong place, what will happen is you'll accidentally edit or paste data within your target spreadsheet. And when you do that, you'll mess up the spreadsheet because it is trying to use a filter, but now it thinks that you want to put this data manually over here. So when you see this kind of problem, all you need to do is just delete the data that you've just edited, and now it'll go back to normal. Okay, now let's do something a little bit more advanced right now, where we're going to do index and match, and that's a little bit more complex. So let's, I'm just going to delete this. And actually, I'm going to delete the primary department as well. Okay, let's go back to our staff details. And now we're going to create a position level, and let's say a position grade. And let's say this position level is, let's just assume there are 3 position levels, 1, 2, and 3. So 1, 2, 3, 2. I'm just going to randomly choose one. Okay, so for 1 and 2 and 3. And then for position grade, let's say that you can only choose A, B, or C. And again, I'm just going to randomly choose, let's say A, B, C, A, B, 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 B. This is a C, 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 A, B, B. Okay, so I've given everybody a position level and a position grade. And let's assume that we now have I'm creating a new tab that's called salary matrix. And over here, I'm going to have position level, position grade. And what that means is in my column, I'm just going to put A, B, sorry, I'm going to put 1, 2, and 3. And then in my row, in column B, column C, column D, I'm going to put A, B, and C. What this means is that if there's a person with position level 1, grade A, they will get a salary of, let's say, let's just say 100, 200, 300 as an example. And for B and C, let's say that a person with position level B will have a salary of, let's say, 10% more than position level A. And the person with position grade C will get a salary of 10% more than person in position grade B. So let's do that. So let's say this is equal to this times 1.1. So that's 110. And this one will be equal to this times 1.1. So it's 121. And so I'm just going to copy this down. So now we've got a salary matrix, right? And because this is all currency, let's call this dollars. Okay, great. So now we've got a position level, position grade salary matrix that tells me very clearly a person with level 1, grade A should have $100. Position with the level 2, grade B should have $220. And so now when I go back to the staff details, I've already got their position level and position grade. And now I need to decide what their salary is going to be. So now let's fill this up. So position 1A, so let's go to salary matrix. 1A is 100. So 100. Well, let me convert this to dollars as well. And then for 2B, this should be 2B should be 220. So this is 220. And then need to continue doing this for the rest of this. So you can see that it can take a lot of time. And also, let's say that we change. So Tatum Burger gets a promotion, goes to position level 3. Now, somebody needs to check again, 3B. This is no longer correct, right? So it goes to 3B. So let's go to salary matrix. 3B is 330. So it should change this to 330. Right, so you can see that this can take a long time. So we want to be able to fix this to make this automatically populate. And that's where index and match is going to come in. Now, I'm not going to try and demonstrate all of it right now because you can find out how to do that. Just go to YouTube, just search how to learn index match. Actually, let's find a video that does that right now. Let's go to YouTube. Just going to do a quick search for this. How to use index and match in Google Sheets. Okay, so this is a lot. This is a tutorial that's like 16 minutes. This is fundamentals part 1. Let's see if there's a shorter video. Okay, so this particular channel by Leila Garani, I like this. It's you get lots of good videos there. So let's just use this. I'm gonna go here. Okay, 11 minutes. I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna go back to our email. I'm gonna say down over here, you can watch this video. I'm going to just link to the video in my email. So that's for you to study more how to use it yourself. But for now, I'm just not going to demonstrate everything. I'm just going to do it rather than explain all of the steps. So what I'm going to do now is basically, this is what I want to retrieve based on this data. So I'm just going to do that right now. I'm going to go to salary matrix, going to highlight this. I'm going to give that data. I'm going to name that. I'm going to call it salary matrix data. Done. I'm going to add a range. I'm going to call this salary matrix rows. I'm going to call this salary matrix columns. Sorry, this is not right. So A1 to D1, that's correct. Rows, this is not right. Should be A1 to A1 to A4. Sorry, this is the bit where I need to. Okay, great. So that's correct. A4. Okay, good. So we go back to salary details. I'm going to create the formula down starting in cell H4. Yeah, I should actually start from up here, but I'm just leaving that so I can demonstrate the difference. And I'm just going to do it over here. So I'm going to go here and do an index, which is the reference. I want the salary matrix data. Which row do I want? And so the row I'm going to match. Which row it's going to be based on the position. So I want to select here. Matching the row with the salary matrix rows. Search type 0. And I want to match the column. Column should be matched by the position grade. salary matrix columns, 0 for an exact. It should be, and close that large bracket. And now this should work. Okay, let's check if this is working correctly. So 2C, is it $242? 2C, $242. Okay, it's working correctly. So let's go back to staff details. Now I'm going to drag this and pull it down. And hey, you can see that it is now correctly calculating for this entire data set. And so you can see that if I had 80 staff, 90 staff, and I need to look up something from a matrix, this saves you a lot of time and ensures that it is dynamic, meaning that it always remains accurate, even if the data changes. So let's say that I change this person, Ali Salago, from position level 1 to position level 3, and then I press enter. That should change the salary. So you can see if this changes, this also changes automatically. And so that is the type of lookup that you can do through an index and a match. So let's go back to this one. So I have demonstrated this. And I've demonstrated to you where you can go on YouTube to find out exactly how to do that. Okay, great. So next step, let's go on to import range and how to use import range. So what I'm going to do now is let's add some more information. Oh, before I do that, let me quickly check. Remember earlier, there were some cells where I entered the data manually, and then there's some cells that we use the formula to. Right now, when you just look at the data set, it's impossible to tell, oh, which one has got the formula, which one has got the hard-coded when somebody just typed in the data. And the way that you can find out is on your keyboard, click on Control, and then you click on this symbol. It's called I think it's called the tiddly or tilde. I can't remember what it's called. But in any case, you basically press on your keyboard, CTR Control, and then you press this button, and then it will show you the formula. So let me demonstrate that now. Here, I want to know which one is the formula, which one is hard-coded. So I'm going to click that. And now you can see on my keyboard, immediately I can see that in all of these cells, I used a formula, but up over here, it's hard-coded. And so in order to fix that problem, I'm just going to copy this up over here. But now if I want to see what is the actual value in that cell, one more time, I'm going to press Control and tiddly. And then I can see now that these are the values that are calculated on the basis of that formula. When you're trying to check somebody's spreadsheet to see if they're consistent in their formula, you can use this very easily in order to check the formula to see if the formula is done correctly or not. Okay, great. So now let's go back to this next bit about demonstrating import range. Now let's add somebody's phone number and then their address. Whoops, address. So phone number, let's just imagine it's 7777, 7777, 7777, 7776, 7777, 7775. And then I'm just going to ask the computer to automatically fill in the others with the same pattern. Okay, great. And then for address, I'm going to say this one is in Bairopite, Malina Moc, Komoro, Lekesa, Los Palos, Rua Has, Muthin, okay, blah, blah, blah. Now I've got all of this data over here. I'm now going to create another different spreadsheet. Let's go to sheets.google.com. And create a new spreadsheet. And this new spreadsheet, I'm gonna call this spreadsheet 1 or original 1. And then I'm gonna go over here and let's call it 2. Okay, now what I want is this spreadsheet, I want it to have the same data that comes from here. Okay, I want it to show all of this data. How do I do that? One way is for me to copy this, Control C, and then I go over here and then I paste. Okay, so I've pasted all of the data and it seems to be working well, except for, oh, what's going on over here? there's an error because it is trying to it's trying to follow this formula, but within this second spreadsheet, it doesn't know what salary matrix data, what does this named range means. So it doesn't know what to look up. And also, even if it did know where to look up, remember that it is looking up the salary matrix, which is within our first spreadsheet, but the salary matrix does not exist in the second spreadsheet. And so it would have an error anyway. And so this is one way to do it. You can just copy and paste. It'll work for some columns, but it won't work for other columns. So what another way to do this? I'm just going to rename this. I'm going to say copy and paste. So that's one way to link it, by copy and paste. Let me also just type that within our notes today. So different ways to get data between sheets. So one way is just copy and paste. So has problems, right? So another way that you can do it is by copying the entire tab. And the way that I can do that is I go back over here. I want this whole tab to be copied over there. So I'm just going to right click on the tab. I'm going to say copy to. I'm going to say copy to an existing spreadsheet. And which spreadsheet do I want to copy this to? I can try searching through my drive, looking through my shared drive in order to find the exact sheet that I want to copy to. But the easiest way is for me to just tell it what spreadsheet I want to copy to. So I'm going to go to recent. And under the recent other spreadsheets that I've worked with, is it this one, right? So this is data linkage 2. So I'm going to click on this. I'm going to say insert. It's copying sheet, successfully copied. So this is my original sheet, right? So let's go to data linkage 2, and I can see over here there's a new tab that's called copy of staff details. And this one, you've got the same data, but now in addition to the data, you can see that again, I've got the same problem over here. You've got an error that is showing up. Okay, their error looks like a different type of error, but because the syntax is different, but bottom line is it still doesn't know what to look for because it doesn't have a salary matrix in this sheet. So that's another problem. That's another way to do it. So this one is, how did I do it? This one I did a right click, copy to existing spreadsheet. So let's also put that over here. Another method is the copy to existing spreadsheet. Also has problems. Then a third different way that you can do this is by using, let's create a new sheet, and then I'll say rename this as import range method. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a different method to get the information from this data linkage 1 sheet. So I'm going to say up over here, I'm going to say equals to import range, open bracket, and then I'm going to put the spreadsheet URL over here. And as always, if I'm not familiar with a particular function, what I can do is I can click over here and I can get more information. And I can click down over here to learn more, and it will bring me to online help that will show me exactly how to do the thing. It'll give me more instructions. But in any case, for now, I'm not going to use these instructions. I'm just going to teach you how to do it myself. So I'm going to close this. Let's, close this. So I don't need this help. Yeah, it's fine. Thank you very much. Oh no, let's go away. Okay, let's just leave it there while we fix this up here. So one more time, equals to import range, open bracket, open aspas, the quotation marks. I'm going to go back to our original spreadsheet. And if you go up the top over here, you can see this is your spreadsheet URL, right? So you just copy this whole thing, Control C for copy, come back over here. I'm going to put it over here. I'm going to close the quotation marks, comma, then I'm going to put the range string. And the range string tells the computer exactly which tab, which information do you want from that original spreadsheet. So now I'm going to do open a string. I'm going to put down here, okay, what was that tab called? It is called staff details, right? And I want A to, let's say A to J. So I'm going to call this staff details. I'm going to put an exclamation mark because it tells the computer that is the name of that tab. So A to, sorry, what was it? Was it A to J? Yeah, A to J. Okay, and close my parentheses. Let's see if this works. And then the first thing that it shows me is a ref error, and when I see this ref error, I go over it. It tells me you need to connect these spreadsheets. The first time that the destination spreadsheet pulls data from a new source spreadsheet, permission needs to be granted. So I'm going to click on allow access. Now you can see that entire data has been brought over here. I don't know why this help window is not disappearing. Go away, help. Okay, close. Okay, never mind. I'm just going to move it to the bottom. Okay, so now you can see that you've got the entire data set from this original one that is showing up over here. Although the formatting is not exactly what you wanted it to be, right? Because it doesn't show the blue and the red colors and all of that. So how can I fix that? One way to fix that is for me to go back to, where I copied the staff details. I'm just going to Control A to copy the whole thing. I'm going to click up here to paint format. And then I'm going to go back to the import range method. I'm going to click over here. Oh, that didn't work. Let's try one more time. Control A, paint format. Let's click over here. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, let's try a different way. Maybe if I highlight this, paint format, go over here and highlight this. Let's see if that works. Nope, that didn't work. So last thing, I'm going to just highlight the range that I'm interested in without highlighting the whole spreadsheet. Click on paint format. Let's click up here. Oh, that's funny. I expected that to work. How about if I highlight this way? So I'm not sure why. But in any case, what's another way to do this? I know, I'm just going to copy this. Let's say I'm going to duplicate this. So I made a copy of that, but I'm just going to delete all of the format, all of the data here. So Control A, press delete to remove everything. I go back to the import range method tab. I'm just going to copy this formula, go back up over to the copy of my copy, paste over here, and there we go. So now you've got this particular spreadsheet. I'm going to rename this import range method with formatting. Let me move this to the right. Okay. So now what is happening is that in this sheet, it is pulling all of the data that I wanted from my original spreadsheet over here. Plus, it has got the formatting that I wanted as well. Okay, now what I can do is in my original, let's check if it is working. So in my original, let's say you have this person, Brayley Camacho, the first person, who we're going to move from Bairo Pite, we're going to move to Singapore. The person is going a long way. Now, if I go back to my second sheet, you can see that here it's also changed so that the data is being pulled properly. So the data is now linked. Now, let's say that in my second sheet, in my data linkage sheet, which is the destination sheet, I try and change somebody's location. So let's take Tatun Burger and also change the location to go to Singapore. Singapore. Is this going to be okay, or am I going to have problems? Let's see what happens. I'm going to press enter. Oh, nuts. Everything's disappeared again. So again, this is similar to what you saw earlier with the filter problem, meaning that you cannot edit data in the destination spreadsheet. You can only edit data in the source spreadsheet. There's only one place where the data can be edited, and all the other spreadsheets that look at the data, you cannot edit them over there. So I'm going to delete this over here. And I'm going to go back to my original source information. And let's go to Tatun Burger and let's move to Australia. Okay, I'm going to press enter. Now let's go back to our destination. And again, you should see here, what has happened? Why has it not changed yet? Let's go back to here. So we have changed to Australia. and our destination hasn't yet changed. What's going on? Something is wrong here, right? Because this spreadsheet should be automatically pulling. Let's wait for a little while and see what happens if we simply wait. So I'm going to give it maybe about 30 seconds and let's see if that changes. There you go. See, now it has changed by itself. So because Google Sheets refreshes every few seconds to get all of the data linked up, sometimes if you've made a change in your source spreadsheet, it may take a few seconds or sometimes even a few minutes for that change to be reflected in your destination spreadsheet when you've linked through import range. So if you don't see any changes immediately, don't get nervous. Don't worry. It'll just take a little bit of time. Okay, so we've done that. All right, have I demonstrated what I wanted to? And then finally, I've demonstrated the import range. Now let me demonstrate a slightly different part of this as well. So let's say that in my destination spreadsheet, I want to see some of the information, but I don't want to see all the information. For example, I don't want to see people's let's say age, sex, position level, position grade, salary. I only want to see their full name and I only want to see their phone number. I don't want to see all of this other stuff. That's easy. All I need to do is go back into my import range and I can change over here the exact information that I want. So let's see. Full name is C, is column C, and the phone number is column I, right? So I just want to see C and I. So let's change that up over here. So let's change that to C to C. And I'm going to use an array method. Don't worry about exactly what that means. So staff details, I to I. Okay, and again, I see this error over here. Why? It's because it thinks that I wanted to edit the text directly for the next cell. So I'm going to delete this. Now you should have this. Find the range harm. What's going on over here? Okay, all right, sorry. Let's see if that works. Why is this not working? It's something to do with my cell referencing here that's not working very well. I'm going to experiment with another 1 or 2 methods, but I don't want to spend too much time on this. Let's say, okay, let's just choose 1 row first. Sorry, 1 column first and see if it works for this. Okay, great. So it's already just giving me all of the full names as I wanted to. And if, let's say I'm wondering if it's going to allow me to use array methods over here. It needs this arrange string, so probably not. I may just need to use a slightly different method, which is I'm going to just copy this, put the same formula over here, but I'm just going to change this to I. And let's delete this data. There we go. So now in this spreadsheet, I can see people's name and their phone number, but I don't see anybody's other details. And just to test this, let's go back to our original sheet and let's change the phone number here to 99999999 for Braley Camacho again. So now if we go back to our destination sheet, you should see after a few seconds, there you go, it has changed. Braley's phone number has changed as well. So within this sheet, you can see just the information that we want, just the full name and phone number without showing all of this other information as well. Okay, so these are some of the methods that we are currently using within our finance spreadsheets and our HR spreadsheets in order to link up data. So yeah, I think we've done everything. Okay, almost. So now I'm going to show you the most advanced method, which is using scripts to pull and sort data from the source sheet to the destination sheet. So this is going to be a little bit advanced. So again, I'm not going to explain all of the steps. I'm just going to demonstrate how it is done so that you can see it's possible. But how to learn how exactly to do this thing, it's up to you to learn how to do that through Google or YouTube or whatever. So I'm going to go back to our destination sheet. I'm going to create a new tab. It annoys me that I can't get rid of this help. I'm just going to refresh this whole thing and see if that'll make it go away. Okay, whew, we finally got rid of our help. Help not wanted. So I'm going to change the name of this tab. I'm going to rename this to demo of script. What is a script? A script is a kind of computer program. So I'm going to go to let's say tools, sorry, extensions, app script. So I'm going to now create a little computer program. And I'm going to use ChatGPT to make the creation of the computer program much faster. So usually this kind of thing, it may take me about, if I was just going to do it from scratch, it may take me, I know, half an hour or something to create it. But now with ChatGPT, it just takes me less than 5 minutes most of the time. Okay, so this is the sheet where I'm going to ask it to do something. So I'm going to go to ChatGPT and I'm going to tell ChatGPT, please help me, let's make this a bit bigger. Please help me create a Google app script for Google Sheets for Google Sheets. I have a source spreadsheet with ID. Let's see, what is the source data? This is the ID. Dum, da, dum, da, dum. And source data sheet name staff details. Staff details. I have a destination spreadsheet with ID. And destination data sheet name. Let's call it demo of script. Let's rename, just copy that. Demo of script. I want the script to run on the destination sheet. When I run the script, I want it to read all data from the source sheet and write it to the destination sheet. Let me go about source spreadsheet. Okay, this sheet has headers on row 1 and data starting row 2. This is also true of our destination sheet. I want the script to run the destination. When I run the script, read all data, write to the destination sheet, and then sort all the data in the destination sheet by column with header. Let's sort it by, let's say, the full name. Full name. Okay, I think is that enough? Let's check my instructions. Create a Google Sheets, source spreadsheet with data, headers, data row, destination sheet. With header row. I want the script to run the destination sheet. When I run read from the source sheet, write to the destination sheet, sort in the destination sheet by column with header full name. Okay. Right, I think that's good enough. Okay, let's also modify it a little bit by saying, and then I want the script to delete all, or let's say just to clear all data rows in the column with header, just to demonstrate its capabilities. Let's say an address, let's say we'll delete all the addresses after it goes over. Header address. So now given the instructions, and ChatGPT is now creating the script, the program that I want. Okay, it's created and given me instructions. I'm just going to copy this, go back over here, gonna paste this code, I'm gonna change the name. Okay, now I want to test the code. Let's look at our destination sheet on the left, and I'm going to run the code on the right. Okay, now what should happen is that if I now press this button, let me make sure I'm in the right tab. Right. Now, if I now press run, I should now get all of the data, all of these instructions should be executed. That means that the computer should go and get the data and write it in here. Let's see if it works. Click on run. First time authorization required. This only happens the first time that we run the script. Yes, that's me. Yes, I want to allow. Okay, authorization successful. Okay, now it's trying to execute. Okay, fantastic. So now I'm getting a little error over here that's telling me that it's not able to do something. Now, if I want to, I can try and sort this out myself and debug this code. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this error and I'm just going to put it right back into ChatGPT and say, please help me debug. I get this error. And then I tell it what the error is. And then see what ChatGPT tells me. So now it's giving me a corrected version of the program. Great, let's try one more time. Again, I've copied this corrected version, put it back in my script editor. And let's look at the destination and let's try running it one more time. I think it may need to clear the data first. Now it says it's telling me, this particular error. Copy and sort data 27. What's happening in 27? Yeah, it's a problem that it's having with the sort part of the function. So let's go back and let's try something less ambitious. Okay, so let's ask it to please update the code so that it just copies the data without performing the step of sorting the data. Okay, so it's giving me the simpler version of the function. Let's go back. Script editor. Save. Let's try viewing our result. Where's our result? Is it here? Nope. Is it here? Yep. Okay, so this is our destination, right? So let's try one more time. Is it going to work? Press play. Still think. So it has copied the data over here, right? So let's test if this is working. I'm going to delete all of this stuff. Let's try pressing play one more time. Okay, I think I see what is going on. What is going on is okay. Anyway, never mind the details. But basically, it's performing what it needs to be doing by copying the data over here. And one of the advantages is that here, it is not the case that it is using an import range or link or something like that in order to have the data linked. Since I've done this using a script, if I now change the original data, let's find the original data. Where's the original data? I've lost my original data. Where are you? There we go. Okay. Now notice that on the left, I've got my original data, right? So this is the original spreadsheet. On the right, I've got my destination data that was created using the script. Now in my original data, if I change the data in some way, for example, Braley Camacho, I'm going to change the age to 99. You can say that in the destination data, there's been no change now at all, because what has happened is that Google Sheet as kind of automatically copied, pasted, copied, pasted, copied, pasted. And so now even when I'm changing the source, the destination is not changing anymore unless I run the script one more time. So if I go back to my this is a problem with having too many windows. Okay, here we go. Now, if I press play over here one more time, then I watch what happens over here. This should then, great, it has updated my age to 99 over here, right? So you need to run it each time for it to perform this function. And one more thing that I can do is I can add a custom menu, meaning I can, again, I'm going to go to ChatGPT to help me out with this a little bit because it's much easier. I'm going to create a new chat. Let's go to a new chat and say, please help me create a custom menu in Google script for Google Sheets. The custom menu should be created on open. The custom menu should launch the routine called, what's the name of this thing? What is the name of our program that we did just now? Here we go, copy data. Oh, did I lose it? Okay, one more time. Let's go to a new chat. Let's say, please help me create a custom menu for Google Sheets through Google Apps script. The custom menu should be created on open. When the custom menu is run, it should launch. When the custom menu item is run, it should launch the routine called okay, great. So I'm going to copy this code. Let's go back to our code editor. I'm going to create a new script called onOpen. And I'm gonna release this, make sure copy data is the same as the function name here to make sure it's identical. Copy paste, very good. Let's save. Okay, now let's see if that magic happens. Let's go back to our data linkage or destination. Okay, I'm gonna click the refresh button up here to reload this page. And now if I watch up here, I should see a new menu showing up. There you go. You can see this new menu called custom menu that you didn't see previously. So just to demonstrate what I mean by that, if you go to our original sheet, you can see up here there's no custom menu, But if we go down to our destination sheet, you can see this menu called a custom menu. And if I click on copy data, it should run the routine to create this. So to demonstrate this, I'm going to delete all this data. I'm going to click on custom menu, copy my data, and let's see. See, now the data has showed up here immediately the way that I wanted to. Okay, so that's it. So that's, I think, a quick demonstration of, not so quick, a bit slow, but a long demonstration of this stuff. So using ChatGPT to create custom menu and function to pull. Okay, well, I've showed you how to pull the data. The sort data, I didn't debug completely for you to destination sheet, but just trust me, it's possible. It just takes a little bit of extra time to debug that. And I think that's about it. Okay, so CPD points for this. So let's see how much time we've taken. So this meeting has gone on for about an hour, so let's give it 2 points. So I'll say, CPD points, and it should be www.malik, say tiny URL, Malik Timur CPD. In any case, it will be, date should be 7 July 2023, and the password would be 655, okay? 655. So 9002 is me. Phone, sorry, 655. 655. Okay, submit. And that is that. Okay, that is all. Thank you everybody for your time. Bye-bye.